This is not.
Awaken World News with Patrick David Bonin. Good day, beautiful people. Thanks again for joining me for Awaken World News. If you've been keeping up to some of our last stories, you'll know that we've had a lot of drama here in Nelson, BC around these story times with men in dresses. And a lot of other really unfortunate things that they're trying to push onto people into schools. So I went down to City Hall to listen to a woman speak about SOGI 123, and she's also promoting a petition to allow parents to opt their children out of this indoctrination. Emily works with some other mothers in a group called Mums Against the Norm. I'll be putting their link for their Rumble page down below. She does a really good job of explaining the situation, and they've looked really deep into the situation, so I hope you learned something from her speech. However, unfortunately, there was a counter-protesters that showed up, and they were booing and yelling while she was speaking. I'm just going to let the video speak for itself. However, I'm very proud to see what happened with the Freedom Group because they were so diplomatic. They said such beautiful things, and we came to quite a peaceful resolve. It starts really heated and with some really angry people that obviously have some trauma, and the people that spoke just did amazing. Anyways, I hope you enjoy, and sorry about the edits. I had to cut out some children, so there's some times where I had to zoom in to certain spots in the video just to avoid putting children in the video. I've given this video footage out to a few other people with channels also because I really want this footage to get out there because I thought it was such an amazing example of the things that we have to do to try to protect our children and bring peace to our communities. All right, let's go. Enjoy the video.
That the other party is coming with good intentions. But where do you want them to go? Back to the closet. Is that what you want to mean? The closet? Okay, no. Okay, I'm going to introduce Emily. Emily has identified where people can be heard. You want to be heard, but you don't want to give that same I don't want to hear no transphobic shit. We are going to create a place where people can be heard. And I know that there will be resistance to that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being the people that know that we need to rebuild the connections that happened in our community. So I introduce to you Emily. She has her story, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting. And I know that this is going to trigger that we can now have some other discussions about how we want to navigate this. We go into this not knowing how we are going to find cohesion and compromise, but I do know that because everybody that's here cares, and that everybody that's here is willing to step up to do something about it, we have a chance. So, here's Emily. Yay! Woo!
Hello. Brian, can you... I don't want it to fall out on me. Thank you. Just let me get Hello today, and thank you for having me. My name is Emily Duggan, and I'm here to talk about our parental rights and what programs like SOGI 123 mean for them. This is not about LGBTQ rights. This is about our children and parents' rights to be able to safely navigate our children's maturity process without causing irreversible damage to the rest of their lives due to chemical or surgical intervention. This is about our children's right to proper supports based on an individual basis. It's about parental guardian rights to be involved in our children's process.
Why is all the booing coming from one person? You guys should listen to her.
This is not about stifling anyone's right to expression. It's about navigating that expression responsibly.
Listen to what she says and you might understand. No, there's nothing to understand. There is a lot to understand. It's a deep issue.
Now, more than ever, it has become increasingly clear that parental rights are being threatened. We saw it when they said our children didn't need parental consent to get the shot. And now we're seeing it through programs like SOGI 123 in our schools, both public and private. SOGI stands for sexual orientation, gender identity, and is the belief system that there are many genders, and a person may choose their gender and/or identity at any stage of life. What that means is that any person, for any reason, at any time, may claim their preferred identity and expect everyone to follow suit without question, including the law. We are seeing it in public venues like change rooms, where all a man needs to do to access a woman's change area is state,
That's fake news.
I identify as a woman, therefore I am one.
Bullshit.
Whether that man believes that statement to be true themselves or not is irrelevant. This gives him full access to all women and children's traditionally safe spaces. Safe spaces we have worked generations to secure.
What about safe spaces for trans children?
We are seeing it in our sports teams. Males who compete at a mediocre level in the men's league all of a sudden identify as female and start to compete in women's sports. Obviously leaving the biological women in the sport at a complete disadvantage to the physical competition a man's biological physique provides.
Fake news.
Women rankings in their own division are being beaten out by biological males. We are seeing it in our schools when our kindergarten teachers tell our children just because the doctor assigned your gender at birth doesn't mean they got it right. Or when our children come home from school referring to their birth name as their dead name and insisting we now call them their chosen name and pronoun. Or when a teacher takes it upon herself to show drag story time in her classroom without parental consent or even knowledge ahead of time, and then brags about it on her social media.
Good if we could get these people.
We're even
recorded.
seeing it in our politics.
I've been every time they speak.
Justin Trudeau has publicly stated on International Women's Day nonetheless, quote, I want to be very clear about one more thing. Trans women are women, end quote. Even our local MLA, Brittany Anderson, publicly stated, quote, I'm heart-sickened over the division in our community around the drag story time, end quote. And then she publicly chose a side of that division and protested, boasting her support for one portion of our community on her social media. However, what is worst of all is that this radical ideology has now seeped into our society's greatest safety net of all, our mental health industry. Thanks to Bill C-4, our mental health professionals are no longer allowed to challenge a patient's self-diagnosis when it comes to gender identity. Instead, the very people who we go to for help are now instructed to simply affirm such self-diagnosis, leaving so much room for error, harm, and extremely unethical and immoral practices.
They don't operate on
Programs like SOGI 123 directly support all of these issues we are indeed experiencing in our communities today. by indoctrinating our kids as early as 4 years of age
I don't know where
to
you
believe
find
that gender is a mental construct rather than a biological one rooted in our very DNA. SOGI 123 is not optional. Every student is taught the practice.
Because it's science.
From kindergarten to grade 12 and through to the university level. And that fact alone has directly affected our rights as parents to decide what beliefs and ideologies we wish to expose our children to. And we should be very concerned about that. If we as parents and guardians cannot choose which belief system we wish to raise our children with, then our greatest freedom as a family unit has indeed been stripped from us. When our daughters tell us biological males are allowed to shower with them in a public change room, compete against them in sporting events, and even claim to understand what a menstrual cycle feels like, and all of these ideas are supported by government officials and school programs, we should have concerns.
How do you fucking dare mention you don't want
When our government officials
creating division?
label
You're the
us
ones doing this.
as
It's not the
hate-fueled,
fucking media.
misinformed,
It's all you.
intolerant, homophobic, transphobic bigots,
That's you, baby.
simply for raising reasonable, logical concerns,
That's you, baby.
we should absolutely be concerned.
They're based in lack of education.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Hate is not an opinion.
that is exactly where we are today.
Yeah, you're.
Our kids can self-diagnose unchallenged, begin chemical intervention by way of puberty blockers, testosterone or estrogen injections, and even go as far as getting a double mastectomy paid for by our tax dollars without parental consent. And in some cases, without parental or guardian knowledge. Moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and the family we have adopted along our way. Our children are being misused, abused, and taken advantage of by the gender ideology sweeping our nation. And we as trusted adults who are in positions to protect them, we are being blocked by legislation created by political agendas. It is time we as the protectors of our minors stand together and say that we will no longer stand by and allow our children to be used as a social experiment through gender ideology and beliefs. It is time we take back our parental right to have the freedom to raise our families on our own belief systems. Please sign our petition to have SOGI 123 made into an opt-in and opt-out program rather than a forced one. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I would like to. Does anybody want to have a conversation? What are you guys upset about? What are you upset? What's your name?
My name's Laura, and I'm upset that Emily Duggan is trying to erode the SOGI 123 school education that has been legislated in our province and is part of the curriculum. That's what I'm upset about.
Okay, and why are you upset about that?
I'm upset about that because I'm the mother of a little girl who's trans, and she's in kindergarten at Winlaw Elementary School. And I'm upset because when Emily and her friends and you all want to eliminate the conversation in schools, which would be just like allowing teachers and folks to talk about the fact that some folks are trans and some folks are cis, when we take that away from the schools and we now can no longer talk about that, it creates a really unsafe environment for my child and my family. And so I understand that Emily's a mom too, and that she wants to protect her kids, but it sounds like the way that she wants to protect her kids is going to harm my kids. And so Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity 123 is a curriculum that just simply talks about the possibilities. It's not trying to change anyone. It's creating space and safety for my kids. And so it makes me upset to see folks signing a petition to do something that would further marginalize our already marginalized identities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your sharing and your concern. I'm a mother as well, and I understand this concern. I have a daughter, and in about kindergarten, she came home and she said to me, Mama, I found out today that I'm a they. I'm a they. I read the list. I'm part boy, I'm part girl, I'm a they. And I thought, wow, and it says on the government's website that by age 4, you can decide your gender. And I went back to my childhood, and I thought, wow, I was a tomboy. I hated being a girl. I only wanted to play boy sports. I loved boys. I hated girls. They were mean and catty. And I thought, wow, interesting. And I delved deep into this subject and the agenda. And I learned this they thing. And I've been to India, and there are many theys, and they are proud to be genders of male and female. And gender is a spectrum. We all have male and female inside of us. I understand that. It's beautiful. And if you in India want to be that, they let you. You don't take pharmaceuticals. You don't cut off body parts. You be who you are in India. And it's beautiful. And I want that here. But when my little girl, when I was an adult, I learned that I was a woman and I loved myself. I became a goddess and I was like, wow. But if I grew up today, I would have been confused about my gender and put on pharmaceuticals to change myself into a boy. Can you imagine? I would have lost who I was. I'm a girl. And my little girl reminded me that this is important. To talk about gender is one thing. To mix it with sexual orientation for little 5, 6, 7-year-olds, these are conversations to have at home with your parents. We are... Yes! Please hear me. I'm so glad you're listening. Thank you, because I care. I do. I love all of you. All of you. And if you want to cut off your boobs, please do. I love you for it. If you feel good, that's awesome. But we need to realize that trends and the mind control that we go under can influence us in ways we don't understand. So please, let's sit in circles. Let's hear each other. I do care about you. I have no division in my heart. It's one human race. You cannot believe me, and that's fine. But I truly love all people. I truly do.
Amen.
Well said.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Somebody else want to have a word?
Oh no. Here we go.
Hi. What's your name?
Marilyn
James. Marilyn James, I'm the Spummy matriarch. Do you know what? I've been watching and looking at the screenshots from Emily Duggan that are so transphobic, so hate-filled, so full of divisive language. If there was really a desire to create equity and inclusivity, these talks would have begun way before the hate speech and the death threats to the drag stories participants.
Why is that, Marilyn?
Why
didn't
what?
the conversation happen? Why?
Why? Because you started with hate shit.
Like what?
Because you started with
Hold on. Quiet down, everybody. Stop. Just quiet down.
Please. You don't come at
Jesus.
the matriarch.
There's no need to be Marilyn.
The matrix.
Marilyn.
Back up.
Marilyn.
Just want an example of the
Yeah. Could I'm confused. I'm confused.
Screenshots of Emily Duggan's texts.
No, I'm. Well, I would like to see those because I haven't noticed any actual hate speech.
Rumble.
Can you?
Emily Duggan Rumble.
Can
Put
I?
on your machines and look it up.
You mean on her channel?
What you said.
On her channel?
Yes. Moms against trans.
Okay, could we settle down, please?
One person they get to talk.
I really appreciated when the people were quiet when each side speaks. That shows true respect. And when people try to shut down speech, we can show that they don't usually have much argument behind what they're saying. But I want everybody to know that when we look at these situations that are happening around children and we assume that there's no worries around it, that's not logical way to look at it. There are issues to look at, and to say that it's just hate speech for people to be worried about their kids is not a way for us. If we want to negotiate how to work with this world, that's how we get to the new world. Is hey, let's work out how we can put this out onto the table to the community, because we do want everybody to have their place. But the truth is people are actually really just worried about their children. They don't hate any of you.
Yes.
And, you know, there is people that hate, but for us to be called all hated because we care about the children is irrational. And I think that we should just all have good conversations. It was great to hear people talk, and let's keep the conversation going, and maybe we'll actually find peace.
Yes.
How did that work out for Indian kids who were ripped away from their families and taken to residential schools, murdered, left in those schools? Yes. That reality is
And that's the government, Marilyn. It's the government who did that. So that's what we're standing up. We're on the same side. We're on the same side.
So I think maybe we should shut this all down.
Does anybody else? Do you want to say anything? You want to say anything? Absolutely, we're open to listen.
Does anybody else want a word?
You know? Please.
Okay. Sorry, what's your name?
My name's Morgan. Equating drag or gender nonconformity with child abuse and saying that it's a crime for gender nonconforming people to read to children, that is a straw man. That is a false argument. You're saying that something is one thing so you can knock it down easily and say that it is bad for children. Well, I'm sorry to say that you're wrong. As far as drag is concerned, it's a diverse art form. Okay, some films are made for kids, some films are not. Does that mean that the films made for kids shouldn't be shown? I don't think so. Steven Spielberg even made children's movies and adult movies. Do you think that we should ban Steven Spielberg? Well, no, of course not. And when I say it like that, it makes sense, right? But when you say drag is queer people reading to children, you think queer people indoctrinating children. Well, that's not what's happening, okay? When I was a queer child growing up, I didn't have any example to look to in my community of someone that I could identify with and talk to, someone that could understand me. Okay, having drag or gender non-conforming people presenting to and engaging with children means that they have a role model, and that would have saved so many lives. Okay, I almost didn't make it here. Many times I almost killed myself because I didn't think anyone could understand me or accept me. And what I've heard today is that I was right.
I'm so glad you're listening. Thank you, because I care. I do. I love all of you. All of you.
People are actually really just worried about their children. They don't hate any of you.
Yes.
And, you know,
because I'm not accepted to go into the library or speak to children in any public capacity because it could be construed that I live in drag. That is messed up, and that's the child abuse here.
I really appreciate your words. Thank you very much. So yeah, I don't claim to understand anybody's perspectives completely, but it sure helps to hear people talk about their perspectives.
Yeah.
And it's good. We need to have heart-to-heart conversations. It seems like it gets difficult. We tend to want to. I mean, the easy way is just to be. The easy way is to be hateful or xenophobic, where you're afraid of people that are different from you, and that's got to go by the wayside. So yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And people that condone people that threaten.
Yeah. I that's something I'm very curious about. I'm very curious. Like, I'd love to see somebody could email me examples of any kind of threats or hate, because I haven't seen any yet. But
Yeah, that would be good.
you could just email me.
Or I could just say that for me, it feels hate-filled to think that there's an active group of citizens, both parents and folks that don't have kids in the school system, that are working really hard to dismantle the educational component that talks about sexual orientation and gender identity, when it's obvious to me that having these kind of conversations in the classroom is a really important step to supporting my child to be safe at school and in other places. So for me, did Emily ever say, I hate you, I hate your family, I hate trans folks? No. But when she's working so hard to dismantle structures and systems that are designed to protect trans folks, it feels tantamount to hate.
And that's what your experience is. That's very articulate. Thank you. So
I think there's a lot of pain, and I think if anything, this brings up is pain in us. And I think resolution of pain is so important. And the World Health Organization and big institutions, I think we have to come to more understanding these are not elected institutions. Nobody elected them. They're large institutions, and they prey on vulnerable people who have an enormous amount of pain inside them. I can understand that. Yeah, well, exactly. But everybody has free speech, and whether you disagree or agree with somebody, they have the right to say what they say. And that the goal here is to have a safe place for a discussion. Did you want to say something, sir? Or you? Do you want to say something? Please. Please, absolutely. Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to speak to the drag story time being canceled. Drag story time being canceled made absolutely no sense to me. And I feel like if we're trying to have a conversation and it seems very divided, that's like a really important question to ask. Why? It makes no sense, because we're offering public space for everybody to be who they are, and to kind of conflate that drag is harmful is actually, that's the harmful bit. And like, I'm just so confused as to why someone felt so passionate about having someone dress in drag for children. To like that was harmful. Like what? Yeah, I'm actually just really upset by that, and I just want this, like, if there's these divided sides, I don't want to add to the division, but I want to ask that side, like, how do you think that that's okay to cancel that for our community?
And you're crouched down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. Hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that, and that's twerking.
I think drag is usually a sexual show. It's like burlesque.
It's not.
And that was actually the other thing I wanted to say, is that there's a lot of education that needs to happen on this side, if we're talking that way.
That's my experience of it. That is very sexual.
That doesn't mean your experience is right.
So I'm concerned about kids, though, because
nobody's right here. And I think where a lot of this anger comes from too is the recent survey. I don't know if you heard the school board survey. It's going out to parents worldwide. School District 8 to send it out. It's a 15-page document, and we're out, 25 pages. 15 pages in, it gets hyper-sexualized. And I'm telling you that they're asking kids from grade 7 to 12 how many times they masturbate, how many times they've had sex, how many times like do they stay in the room alone? Like, why are they asking these questions? Is I think important to question, to understand. And this is a document that's put out by the World Health Organization, again, an unelected institution. So it's just about, that's where some of the parents are going, why is that? What's that going on? So it's just a question, and I think it's important to ask these questions and express our pain. Absolutely.
That shit in the school in the 80s, man.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be a way to. I mean, I'm glad some of this is recorded, because I don't understand certain people's points of view, but I'm interested in learning.
Yeah.
And Catherine.
I want to just talk about this, and I just really hope that we can. I really hope we can come to an understanding, so both sides can understand the perspectives of each side. And I personally completely agree that gender stereotypes can be really harmful to children. I mean, I was one of them. I never fit the gender stereotype as a child. And all the heroes you saw on TV that were doing the fun stuff, were the cowboys. And then if you wanted to identify as a woman, you'd see like, well, who do you get to be like a barmaid or a prostitute? I mean, it's like, or or a housewife. There were no models. So I completely believe that we need to have a loosening of gender stereotypes. I feel like it was happening in the 1980s because of the 60s revolution, but something happened in the 90s and we went right back into like, here's the little boy babies clothing section and the little girl babies. They're babies. Why do they have to have different clothing sections? I agree with that. But the problem that I support, okay, on the other side that I support the concern about people who are perceiving drag story time as being burlesque performer story time. For me, it's not about gender, like, opening up the gender dialogue. It's about why would somebody who has a burlesque persona use that burlesque persona to read to kids? Now, I understand that did not happen in Nelson. I understand that those were parents that were just, dressing up. So that was fine. But the thing is, people didn't know that when they made their concerns known. Yeah. And those concerns were never addressed in a really kind way. We heard that there were threats, but then we never heard what the threats were. So, I mean, okay, so just getting back to this whole thing. No, the thing is, I personally had have you ever had somebody accuse you of uttering threats when you did no such thing? It's happened to me. Amen. And it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. So what I'm saying is, we're innocent until proven guilty.
How was it? It's not we.
So just let me finish. So what I'm saying is, I would love to see a middle ground, so we could come together as a society, and so we can go, yes, we need to allow children to be whatever they want to be. I mean, that's so important. That is the most important thing. And if we could find a way to do it in which everybody who's concerned as a parent knows that we're not using burlesque personas reading to the kids, as long as that is put out there to the public. No burlesque personas. Like Connie Smudge did do some readings in Greater Vancouver, and she used her Connie Smudge persona, and it's like, no. It's like, for instance, if I was like doing a stripping act or a burlesque act, and I was like Linda Lovely or something like this. So it'd be, so on the billboard it would be Linda Lovely reads for kids. It's like, no. Like, why would Linda Lovely? You know what I'm saying? So it's not. I think that the important part is not about cross-dressing. It's about the issue of burlesque.
Sexualization of children.
Which, exactly. So what I'm saying is, I'm just hoping that we can come to a middle ground, so we could. So when you have a fight with somebody, with like a really, really good friend, and you guys are just fighting like heck. And what do you need to do when you finally come down and you go, okay, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I understand. I misunderstood that, and that's where I'm hoping we can come to. So do you want to come on, Mike?
Just to clarify, the library postponed Drag Storytime indefinitely due to concerns for safety. There was an email sent that implied that there was legal action going to be taken against the crime of having drag queens in front of children. That was her email. And then the library said, we're going to postpone due to threats to safety. So that's what happened.
Could you explain specifically what the safety concerns were?
Well, Chris, I don't know if you've been to our library before, but we have just one entrance that serves as an exit as well. It's a single door, and our front door, main entrance, is really 2 steps off the sidewalk. And we just really didn't feel that was a welcoming environment if there were protests out there for families with children to have to walk through to get to the library.
Okay, our understanding was that this was canceled because of serious threats.
That's what they told us what happened. I haven't seen the emails, so I don't know, right? But that's the reason they put out.
And I can say that it's pretty easy to see some of the emails that Emily sent because she posted them for all of us to see. So that's easy to see. And then I just want to say that I'm seeing from, was it Linda? Is that your name? What was your name? Linda Lovely? Or is it not really your name? Oh, Catherine. Linda Lovely, and also her friend next door there. Both of them, I think, Teresa, I'm just noticing that it seems like y'all are really conflating like gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation, right? So like,
Because they mix them in the curriculum.
no, they're actually very distinctly separate in the curriculum. And so that's the thing, is that like, I know that I'm a woman, right? And I know that, but I also had a tomboy gender expression as a kid too, right? And we can be women who have tomboy gender expressions, right? That's no one's going to be giving anyone puberty blockers about that. And so I think though that's the thing, is that it's really dangerous when we haven't kind of stopped to unpack and understand all of the differences. And for cisgender straight people, a lot of us have never had to stop and unpack that, right? Because who we are is the default. So we just are as we are and no one questions it. There's some real experts in the crowd that have different lived experiences in relation to their gender expression, gender identity, and sexual orientation. They've really got this on lockdown. And as the mom of a trans girl, I'm also really doing a lot of learning and unlearning. And so I just would kind of ask folks to really, let's do a little Google search here. What is the difference between gender expression, gender identity, and sexual orientation? It's really clearly defined, and it makes a lot of space for experiences like ours, being women and little girls who also, wanted to be the cowboy or wanted to be the astronaut and didn't want to be the housewife. That's possible. And so I think that like when I hear folks up on a mic conflating things, I want you guys to like learn and grow, but also it's super harmful when we do this, right? It's harmful to us standing in the audience.
Thank you.
I have a great nephew. Now this great nephew was younger than my grandson. From the time that little girl got up and could dress herself, she dressed in my grandson's clothes. She identified as a boy right from the very beginning. It wasn't like she got to kindergarten and decided, oh, I don't like dresses. Would not wear a dress. I am a boy. I am a boy. I'm in the wrong body. And that's what that boy said from the very beginning. We handed down boy clothes for my grandson because she would not wear anything feminine and is accepted in the community as a boy. Nobody tried to say, oh, you can't have any exposure to that or anybody else who identifies as a boy. If that's how you identify, we will accept your self-identification from birth.
I'm going to go up in a second whenever you're ready.
I think we're all in a discussion here, and I really, really appreciate everyone coming out here today. And I think exactly what you're saying. I really appreciate what you're saying. We have to start researching. We have to researching identity, sexual identity, promotion of sexual versus identity. All those things are really, really important. And I appreciate everyone for coming out here. I think this is one of our best gatherings because we've had discussion. And I think it's really trying to make sense of the larger picture, bringing it into our community, because there's a lot of shit going down. I don't know if you realize there's a digital ID. This is rising above everything. Digital ID, it's in second reading in the House of Commons. What's going on? Hey, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, trans, whatever. You guys are going to be controlled. You're going to be controlled with digital ID.
It matters a lot.
Absolutely, it matters. I'm 100% on your side, but the larger picture is we got a lot going on.
This is about the larger picture. If you want to find out.
Yeah, but there's a lot going on. And Patrick, I just want to close here. Do you want?
We're going to close.
So yeah, we got to one spot there, and it seemed we went back in the circle, back to the end. And I just want to say again, we accept everybody for how they express. They do what they do, and that's really I want to express that over and over again because that's what we're saying. The one thing that is we have seen the videos, we have seen the evidence of pathological things happening around children. We're not saying that has anything to do with even 99.9% of you. However, it does happen, and that's why we have the conversation and know what are the things that, if we sat together and looked at videos, you guys would probably agree that some of the things we've seen are not to be good to be done in front of children. If that's the case, that's what we should really do, right? But anyways, we got to shut it down.
One last here. Please.
I just want to say that criminality and criminal deviance happens in all sectors of humanity. White men, women, indigenous, trans, everywhere. Okay, so but to paint queerness in its entirety as deviant for that reason is wrong.
We're not doing that here today.
No, because division is the goal, and let's not let that take us.
Divide and conquer, everybody. That's the goal here. I appreciate everyone coming out today. I think we need to pat ourselves on the back for showing up. That's what democracy is all about. Is showing up, and I appreciate every one of you coming out today. Thank you.
Um,